Hello, my name is Mary Carson Stiff, and I'm the Director of Policy at Wetlands Watch. I'm also a Certified Floodplain Manager. This video is going to show you how to go online and find out whether or not a property is located in the FEMA designated Special Flood Hazard Area. The Special Flood Hazard Area is made up of several zones that FEMA designates as at a very high risk of flooding during a large storm event. The reason why you might care is because if a property is located in one of these high hazard zones, then you would be required to purchase flood insurance for that property if you receive financial assistance from a federally backed loan. This is called the mandatory purchase requirement. So today we're going to focus in Virginia. That's where Wetlands Watch is located, and we work and are based out of Norfolk, Virginia, but we work all over the coastal state and coastal region of the state. And so I'm going to choose a local branch of the Norfolk Municipal Library System. And we're going to go through the process just like you would if you wanted to look at to see if a business or a home or another piece of property is located in this high-risk zone. So FEMA's mapping system is called Risk Map. That's their online database. I am going to use either the Google search bar or the regular address bar in the web browser. And I'm going to type Risk Map. FEMA separates the U.S. into different regions. Virginia is located in Region 3, so I'm going to add a 3 to the end of Risk Map, and then I'm going to type .com, that's the ending, and then hit Enter. All right, takes me to FEMA's Region 3 Risk Map site. I know that I'm looking for flood maps, so I'm going to select this tab, Flood Hazard Maps, and I'm going to come down to Virginia. Select Virginia. All right, this takes me to a map that shows all of the local governments that are highlighted in green are those that maps are available currently on the FEMA portal. The reason why these localities that are not highlighted, so for example, if you're watching this video and you live in Prince Edward, Emporia, the city of Richmond, right here, you all will receive your maps and you will be able to, you will receive updated maps that will gain you access to this online portal. But FEMA is updating the coastal zone with their maps first as part of the big reforms to the National Flood Insurance Program. And so that's why only the coastal zone is highlighted in green, because the information is available. So I am looking for the city of Norfolk. I'm going to just click on Norfolk. It highlights the municipal boundaries. And then I want more info because I want to go to this portal site. Opens up a new window, and now I am going to be looking at the city of Norfolk's map online. Okay, I'm going to agree. All right, so this map is pretty jumbled and we can see a lot of these grid lines. Don't worry about any of this information. I'm going to zoom in just a tiny little bit because you can see that there are different colors. These are the zones that we care about, and these are the colors that we're going to be looking at to determine whether or not properties are located in these high-risk zones. So there are two different things that you need to focus on before we can see whether or not a property is located. We need to focus on the legend and the find an address. So first I'm going to go to legend. So I know that I want to only see the data that is effective. So I need to not check preliminary firm data, and I need to check effective firm data. This is a pain and an annoying step, but it's really important because you want to be sure you're looking at the data for the map that shows what is already adopted and currently in place for the city's local ordinances and planning. And so here I have the effective firm data checked, and I unchecked this preliminary firm data. These are the different zones that I was talking about, and these zones are represented by the different colors that you can kind of see on the map, and we'll see much better when we zoom in. The zones that we care about that make up this high hazard area or the special flood hazard area are the zones that begin with A and V. So this map, those zones correlate with red and with blue. So pay attention to blue and to red, but also really look for A and V when you see the zones are actually written out. Yellow, we do not care about yellow. We care about it because it shows another level of risk. And the X zone, which is basically just kind of all this area, which of course is Virginia Beach, so that doesn't mean that it's necessarily not in the X zone, but so you can kind of see that there are lots of tan areas. That's the X zone. There is still a risk of flooding in the X zone and in this yellow zone, but for the purposes of today's video, you do not need to worry about these zones because it would not trigger the mandatory requirement to carry flood insurance. At Wetlands Watch, we advise everybody that lives in the city of Norfolk and in any area that is coastal or at risk of flooding from a large river, we advise people to purchase flood insurance because it's just a safety, it's a nice thing to do. So the second thing we're going to look at is filling in the address. So this is how we get down into a zoomed in version of this map. So I know that the address that I'm interested in finding is 6525 Hampton Boulevard. Notice that I am typing out the entire formal address. So I'm including the state of Virginia, and then I'm also including the zip code. I know this is a pain because obviously this map should know we're in Norfolk, and it should know that the zip code should automatically populate, but it does not. So just enter the whole thing and then click locate. I can see that a bullseye that matches the bullseye here has come up, and I know that I'm going to zoom to it. So I clicked zoom to. Just click OK if this comes up. It just means that it's kind of hard to see when you're this far zoomed in, but we're not going to have any problem. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. You use your zoom function over here to the left of the screen. This bullseye has put me on a walkway, it looks like. I know that the city of Norfolk might probably own this, but this is the structure that I care about. So right here, this large structure. So if I put my mouse on it, and I don't click, I just hover, it says preliminary flood zone, AE 100%, preliminary BFE 8 feet. So what we care about is this zone AE. And I also can tell without even putting my mouse over the building that I'm looking at and that's in question, I can really see that zone AE is without a doubt encompassing this building. So I know from this map that this structure is required to carry flood insurance. Just like I can tell that all these structures are required to carry flood insurance. This structure, because it has some of its structure in the AE zone or the blue zone, I know that it would need to carry flood insurance as well, even though it has some of the yellow zone, which I said would not trigger the mandatory purchase requirement, but because some of the structure is in this high-risk zone, this property would need to carry flood insurance. So I'm looking at zone AE, and it's very clear that a lot of this area is in the special flood hazard area and would be required to carry flood insurance. And there are some properties, if you look down here in the yellow zone, I know that these properties, so for example, there are a couple properties down here those properties would not be required to carry flood insurance, just like some, these properties probably would not either. And so that's really how you tell whether or not a property is located in a special flood hazard area. So I mentioned that another one of the zones that we care about is zones that start with V. So that's red, excuse me, that's red on this map. Now, VE, the V stands for velocity. And so I am really not going to see very many properties in the city of Norfolk that might be located in this velocity special flood hazard area or high hazard area zone. I can see here that there's a strip of the red. I'm going to zoom a little bit. There's a strip of the red along here and kind of along here. This is Willoughby Spit. If a property was located in this zone, then it would be required to carry flood insurance, and it would be in that special flood hazard area or high hazard zone. So if it had a federally backed mortgage, then the property would need to buy flood insurance. It makes sense that this area would be zone VE because you have the Chesapeake Bay right here, and if you can imagine what the bay looks like during a storm, you would receive waves coming in from the ocean, which of course is just, right over here. And so these houses would be at high risk from wave inundation and wave action and would be in that high zone. So that's how you find out whether a property is located in the high hazard flood zone. And I hope that was useful. If you have any questions about flooding or the National Flood Insurance Program or the National Flood Insurance Program recent reforms, then I'd urge you to check out our website. It's www.wetlandswatch.org. We have a ton of information about the National Flood Insurance Program and about how to protect yourself in a flood event, and we also work with preserving wetlands and using natural green infrastructure for flood protection in our area. So check us out, and we also have additional videos that might be useful on our YouTube channel. So thanks so much.